We left Manchester around 5 o'clock, and it took us about an hour to an hour and a half to get to the Lake District.
300 yards, turn right.
We have arrived to the Lake District, and this is the road that the GPS is taking us down. So we hope we'll arrive to the hotel. Quite picturesque, I have to say. Beautiful stone walls.
After 100 yards, turn right.
Here comes a car.
We're coming really fast.
Plumbing and heating. So plumbing and heating, I think the plumbing and heating may be working. So here we turn right.
Turn right.
Stay in the middle of the road.
Look at the sheep. Woohoo! Look at them. With red markings all over them.
We arrived to the Hostwater Hotel a little after 6 o'clock. And we were so hungry because we didn't have lunch that we had supper around 7 o'clock, after which we went out walking even though it was raining.
Bueno, aquí estamos en el distrito de los lagos, the Lake District, y esta es la vista desde nuestro cuarto. Impresionante, ¿verdad? Son apenas las 7:30 de la mañana y esto ya es una belleza.
The first time I came here was in 1972. And I remember seeing hotels like this one, full of English charm, and wishing I could afford staying overnight. After breakfast, we took a walk in one of the trails around Hostwater Lake. Mary Lou, who is passionate about nature, took these photographs of the trees and of the flowers, including one photo of me sitting down, and I took one of her squatting. I wonder what she was doing. Estamos empezando nuestro camino aquí en el distrito de los lagos. Llueve, o sea que hay riachuelos por todos lados. Ahí nos estacionamos, al final ven el auto que rentamos, el Audi. Ahí tenemos el laguito. Hostwater. Y aquí tenemos a mi guía. Acabamos de empezar, ya estamos cansados, yo creo que nos vamos a regresar.
This little river comes all the way from up there. Can you see it?
En unos minutos o en unas horas vamos a estar allá arriba. Le llaman eso el camino del Rich, del Risco. Y ahí tenemos la llegada del agua al lago. These stone walls are really beautiful. Esto es tan apacible y no hay gente. Estamos nosotros, la naturaleza, el viento y nuestra imaginación. Claro, el caminito está un poquito complicado porque pues hay muchas bajadas, subidas, piedras, lodo, pero vale la pena. Vale tanto la pena que Marilu ya se durmió bajo el sol, tratándose de calentar y de secarse un poquito. It's impressive, you know, how they take care of this, even though you don't see any people. Well, you see once in a while a peasant. Here we have a local peasant. What is the language that you guys speak here? English or Cumbrian? Or do you speak the goat language of the hills? Ya andamos de regreso, después de 2 horas de estar caminando. Como pueden ver, ya empezó a llover, por cierto. El caminito está simpático. ¿Se imaginan ustedes a Gerardo Dorantes caminando esto?
¡Pinche Flopis! ¿A dónde me traes? Yo vine a divertirme, no estar sufriendo. ¡Idiota! Me va a dar un ataque al corazón.
¿Se imaginan ustedes a Chucho Goyeneche?
¡Hola, hermano! Mira, estás resollando como güey. ¡Apúrate! Oye, pinche enano.
Este es Guilebaldo.
¡Espéranos! Venimos aquí a divertirnos, no estar corriendo.
Willibaldo contestando.
Carajo, hombre, pinches gordos viejitos. Apúrense, que no voy a estar esperando todo el tiempo.
El Mosco.
Mi querido Flopis, espérate un ratito. Me está doliendo el hombro. Siento que mis ojos no se pueden abrir. Creo que estoy constipado. Por favor, vamos a descansar un ratito.
Rudy.
Oigan, hijos de la chingada, aquí no hay ningún solo bar. Pues yo vine aquí a chupar. No estás caminando, babosos, bola de irresponsables.
Back to the hotel to freshen up and leave for Penrith.
Estamos en Penrith. We just arrived here. It's still Cumbria, and it's quite a nice little town. And this is, imagine, the main square, and the famous family grocers, agricultural seed, cake, and manure merchants. They have a specialized in manure, you can smell it.
Look at that sunset, to die for. And look what a beautiful morning the Lake District greets us with.
Today is our second full day here in the Lake District. There's quite a lot of activities, including a rail train ride, boat ride, but we're gonna go hiking. And there's my guide, Marilu, and our rental car, the Odi, and this is the hotel that we're staying in. Quite charming. Y estamos ahora apenas empezando nuestro trekking, nuestra caminata en este sendero diferente al anterior. Estamos subiendo hacia la montaña. Esperamos caminar hoy 1 hora más de lo que hicimos ayer, o sea, esperamos unas 3 horas y media.
This is part of the trail. It's kind of wet and slippery. And here we have Mary Lou's Fascination, the ship of the mountains of Lake District.
Apenas llegamos media hora, pero ya subimos pues todo eso. Y ahora estamos tomando un breve descanso, un brevísimo descanso. Y todavía nos falta subir un poquito más.
¿No es esto francamente sensacional? This is absolutely gorgeous.
We made all the way to the top. And we are planning to go back shortly.
This is the view from the top after walking 1 hour and a half or thereabouts. Mary Lou getting her second wind. Here she is at the top, and here I am, top of the world. And here I was in 1972. Very little has changed. Now we're coming down. Going up was okay. Coming down was very tough on my knees and on my feet. Of course, I met a friend on my way down. After a good meal, a good sleep, we woke up early, settled the bill, and left for Carlisle, Hadrian's Wall, and Glasgow. There are so many potholes on this road that I feel right back at home.
Here are some young fellows. And a cyclist coming our way. We are leaving Haweswater in the Lake District, and we're on our way to Carlisle, where we will be seeing Tilly House, the cathedral, and then Hadrian's Wall.
We are in the city of Carlisle in Cumbria, the largest settlement in the area. The city has about 70,000 people. It used to be a Roman settlement servicing the needs of the forts on Hadrian's Wall. We are about 10 miles away from the Scottish border, and this is the beautiful Cathedral of Carlisle. This cathedral church, which has stood on this site for over 800 years, has a great story to tell. It is a story that blah, 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 blah. I better tell it my own way. Carlisle Cathedral is also known as the Cathedral Church of the Holy and Undivided Trinity. It is the seat of the Anglican Bishop of Carlisle. At the beginning, it was an Augustinian monastery and became a cathedral in 1133. It is beautiful, built with local red sandstone. It is Gothic in style. The most significant feature of the cathedral, it is the east window. It is the largest and most complex such window in England.
La belleza de las catedrales en Europa no deja de impresionarme. Las de Toulouse, Ahora estamos aquí en Carlisle, en la Catedral de Carlisle. Nomás de órgano. Es que son majestuosas.
Here we are at Hadrian's Wall. Last time I was here was in 1972 or 73. For 4 centuries, most of Britain was under the Roman Empire. However, the tribes of the north never accepted the Romans. So 1,800 years ago, they built a wall stretching 73 miles from sea to sea. The wall was around 5 meters high and about 3 meters wide. It defined the very edge of the empire. All who lived inside the wall were Romans. All those who lived beyond were barbarians.
Estamos en uno de los fuertes de lo que era la muralla de Hadrian, que viene a ser la construcción más antigua en Europa del Norte por los romanos.
We left Hadrian's Wall for Glasgow. We arrived at Glasgow Pun Hotel at about 6:30 p.m. and went into the dining room for a late dinner. Next day, when we came out of the hotel, we saw these beautiful cars exemplifying Glasgow's claim for good design and creativity. We took the bus into town to get into the hop-on, hop-off tour bus. We went around the city.
These are the botanical gardens, right here in Glasgow.
Scotland. She did great works for Earl Haig, in memory of the 20,000 Glaswegians lost their lives in the Great War. Statue at the right at the corner, Dr. Thomas Graham, professor from the Anderson Institute. And then when we turn right, there's a statue to the right, set a little bit back, Thomas Campbell. Not all that well known, even with the Glasgow people, but at one time he was one of the right.
We went to Glasgow Cathedral. Quite an impressive building, very large and very gloomy. It has a very large nave with a very high ceiling.
Como de costumbre es una catedral muy bonita. Y ahí está la tumba del patrón de Glasgow, San Mungo.
We are in the basement of Glasgow Cathedral. There is a chapel here. Here is the tomb of Saint Mungo, the patron saint of Glasgow. Here you can also see the ruins of the original cathedral.
Aquí también está la
We visited the Glasgow Art Gallery and Museum. The building is grandiose, beautiful, and of course the exhibitions inside are fantastic. Mary Lou was taken by this painting, A Lady in Black, by Cadell. Instead of an economist, I could have been a bishop in the Church of Scotland. Hijita, aquí estamos, en la casa de Macintosh, tal como nos pediste que viniéramos. Vamos a cruzar la calle a ver si no nos machucan. Nos estamos acercando. Vamos a ver qué dice el letrero. Caray, esta no es la casa de Macintosh, es la biblioteca. Finalmente, después de varios intentos, encontramos la casa de Macintosh. Pero como te puedes dar cuenta, hijita, los lunes está cerrada. La casa de Macintosh está dentro de la Hadrian Art Gallery. Por ahí entras
Pedimos permiso para que nos dejaran entrar, pero el encargado era muy pesado y no nos dejó ni sacarle una fotografía. After visiting Glasgow and looking for the house Macintosh, under a constant and persistent rain, we were very hungry, so we decided to eat in a very unusual place.
Right now we are having lunch in a bar, which is actually inside a church that was abandoned and then bought by the current owner because his daughter wanted to have her wedding and she couldn't find a venue that she liked. So she liked the fact that it's a church, and so he bought it, made a banquet hall, and then made a restaurant and bar in on the ground level.
After a good meal, a couple of good beers, we went back to the hotel, and next morning we were ready to head out to Inverness and to Loch Ness. We arrived to Inverness on a Monday, 24th of September. We had a little trouble finding the Armadale guest house because the GPS took us close by but not to the exact location. Next day, after breakfast, we tried to get the hop-on, hop-off tour bus. However, after waiting close to an hour, under the most miserable conditions, cold and rainy, we found out that the tour was cancelled due to the weather. Here we are in Inverness, spending some kind of cold and wet vacations. Here you can see Mary Louise looking cold, wet and miserable. As you can see, the River Ness is overflowing with water. If it continues to rain like this, there could be some flooding. We might also have to stay another day here in Inverness because the highways are flooded due to the weather conditions, especially to the south. However, we might be lucky since we're going north towards Loch Ness. As you can see, I also look miserable. So after walking around and getting wet and doing some shopping, we left for Cawdor Castle and Loch Ness.